Right, guys, we're back at it again. Episode 90 of the Third Eye Truth Theorem podcast. I am James Gill, your host. This is Joe Hill, my co-host.
Yeah,
Welcome, Joe.
it's new to me.
Oh man, what a long weekend we had this year. Oh man, especially for me anyway. How's everybody's holiday going? Now, before we get into that, let's introduce our guest. I almost forgot.
That was a lot of questions right there.
I had a lot to say this week, man. I had a long weekend.
Dude, you had a long weekend. Are you bottled up right now? Like,
Yes, I have a lot of stuff going on in my mind, and I've
I
done a
can
lot of stuff.
tell. Oh my
Yeah.
god, are you
I'm a little wound up right now, so to speak.
Take a sip.
Oh, and before we do all that, I don't want to take a sip right now, but we got to introduce our guest here tonight, guys. We have from Pete's Cider. Dan Pete, nice to meet you, brother.
Yeah, I'm kind of geeked about
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for joining our show.
It's an honor.
Oh man,
actually, no, it's an honor to meeting you. Actually,
yeah, we have no idea. Now that I know, I've seen these ciders right here before, and I was like, I've had one before, so
I've
had
them all.
All right.
Have you really?
Good.
Yes, actually, I love the cider. Actually.
Me too.
Yeah, of course.
God, I hope so.
It looks like he has his face on here. I'm not sure if that is, but
I like the
it looks really cool. It's a cool print right there.
That you brought this one here.
And we get we get gifts, guys.
I know gifts. We love gifts. Never come empty-handed.
Yes, I appreciate
it. Listen to his words. Thank you, Nardo, too. Thank you for bringing pizza last week.
Yeah, he did. That was some great stuff.
That was good.
But
back to
this weekend, I tell you, man,
what's wrong?
Something about the holidays brings the most unusual people out. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but for me, I've seen so much stuff this weekend. Don't you have one of them?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. We check. It's the most unusual people out, and I don't know. It's kind of scary. It's kind of scary because some of the people I've never seen before in my life, and it's like, wow. What? So easily amused. Dan, let's get into you, brother.
All right.
Tell us a little bit about your pizza cider.
Yeah. Well, we started about 10 years ago. My wife and I, after we moved back to the area, I'm from Paw Paw originally. Okay. She's from Illinois. And when I moved back, we were kicking around ideas of what we might do on the family farm I grew up on that would be a more unique use of that farmland. And the idea that kind of rose to the top was to do a hard cider company. At the time, that was the fastest growing craft alcohol category. And during that time, I also went back and got my MBA. And we were using this whenever something didn't apply at my normal job, I would use the fictitious cider company for a project. And we got to the end of it and we were like, you know what? We did all the homework. Like, let's turn it in and give it a go. So we were selling commercially for a couple of years and then started looking for where our tap room might be. And we live in St. Joe, my wife and I do. And my work was in Ben Harbor, hers was in St. Joe, and the farm was in Paw Paw. So we're either going to do something nearish to St. Joe or nearish to where we make the stuff.
That's smooth.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
Thank you. That's smooth.
And then we were kind of looking at a lot of really cool venues, and most of those you'd have to do a pretty substantial build out to make it work as a tap room, as you would know for sure. And then we started thinking like, well, maybe we can buy a place that's already kind of built out to be a tap room. So we were thinking about that. And on our way back from looking at a spot in Bridgman, we drove past what was Lakeshore Lanes at the time. And my wife said, hey, wouldn't it be funny if instead of a bowling ball on that sign, it was an apple and that was our tap room? And we kind of laughed about it. And we're like, of course we can't buy a bowling alley. And then
I'm kind of laughing about it, right? How you said that, I'm kind of laughing about it myself. Yeah, because that's how your guys' emblem is on your shirt. Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like the 10 pins and
it's all bowling pins and yeah.
So then it was for sale, and I was like, well, now I want to know, even for a comparison. And it was the right price, and kind of craft alcohol was, you have to have not just a good product anymore. Everyone kind of assumes a certain level of quality if you're in the game. But now you have to have something unique or something to do, beautiful view, really good kitchen, something. So we thought maybe bowling will be our thing, and we'll be like extra family friendly because we have 3 little kids. So
Okay.
that's kind of how we went for it. And then when we went to buy, we brought in Josh and Tiffany Costner to buy the place with us, and so they're our besties. Yep. And
nice.
so then that was 2019 when we closed on it, and we got going. We're rushing through renovations, a lot of stuff like, we have to go fast,
Yeah.
And then 3 weeks before or 3 weeks after we get our licensing comes through for that location, COVID hits, and we're like, didn't get to do a ribbon cutting, didn't get to do our friends and family party. We had to cancel that. And so just kind of a very as clunky of a start as you can hope for. I know you guys have a similar story for this podcast here. So I can definitely relate on those grounds. But yeah, we've been kicking it since though.
And that whole COVID thing that shut down everything, it helped us prepare as far, because I showed Joe a picture of old stuff, the old setup.
Mm-hmm.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And
I liked it though. I mean,
luckily I had a chance to sit back and like, hey, what do I really need? Because it was just a startup. I didn't know what I was doing, jumping into it. And just to get it started up and get it the right way gave me plenty of time to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not, I mean, you probably had a lot of extra research and development time and a lot of new podcasts, I'm sure, popped up during COVID too, because people were in their homes. So you could get some ideas of what might work for you, what maybe not to do, that kind of stuff too.
So did you guys, when you knew that you couldn't open it and the ribbon cutting and everything was put on hold, so to speak, did you have time to go back and go over it with a fine-tooth comb?
A little bit, but so many things you can't, like if it's a hospitality-based business, you can't test until there's people in the building,
right?
Some of the more like, well, that worked out okay, was we never did paper menus, so we kind of skipped a lot of stuff that you would have normally been doing then, that people just got used to not having a paper menu at a place like that anymore. They're just going to do the QR code on their phone, or they're going to look at the look at the wall and see what's there. So some of it did allow for, skipping through some growing pains on things that we probably would have moved on from anyhow.
Right.
But it was pretty clunky. I mean, once we could finally reopen, everything was based on occupancy load, and ours was so high because we bought it from the original builder's son. It had never changed family hands.
No, I used to bowl there, so I did. I used to bowl there when I was a kid to adult. So it never changed hands at all.
But yeah, it was pretty wild. Because even at the like 20 or 50% occupancy, it was already like, well, we'd have every possible table that we could have 6 feet apart full. And
try it. So that
crack one too.
That's really good.
That is smooth.
Can't wait to have my own now.
Yeah, I know.
But
that's why I said do both.
Do both.
Yeah, grab a cup.
Oh no, Brian. I'm going through this right here. Oh, see, I have my own now.
Yeah, then we all got more. Yeah.
So I knew there was something wrong here, Joe.
I'll keep my mind upstairs.
There you go. Keep yours over there. All right.
That stuff's awesome.
So there's a bowling alley, family friendly. Serve food there?
No, when they first built it, they definitely had a kitchen. It was like had a diner.
Yeah.
I even have some of the original menus, which looks like a bowling pin with like a bowling ball, and you slide it out. And you can see.
Oh, really?
And you could get steak sandwich, fries, and a coffee for $1.85.
It's not.
That's one of the menu items. And the fish dish was like 60 cents, whatever. Who knows what it was?
It's not a very big kitchen though.
No, there is no kitchen. So they had taken it out at some point. So there were like 2 barely above residential grade little like frozen pizza oven things. So, with COVID and already, I think I'd only bowled like 30 times in my life before we bought the place. So simply learning how to successfully run and maintain that half was like enough. I didn't want to add a kitchen to the mix and really overwhelmed my
So
ability.
how'd you go about learning all the ins and outs of running a bowling alley?
Well,
That's rough.
we did have, before our licensing was approved, we still could be open, and there were existing leagues that were there.
Yeah.
And they were very traditional, kind of old school leagues. Many of them, you know, the average age, being generous on the young side, the average age was probably like 65. So they're not drinking hard cider anyway.
Right,
they're not
right.
in the kind of like 30 something
Yeah.
target market. And they wanted the cheapest possible bowling experience, which is what Kirk, you know, was good at providing, because he was, you know, an amazing penny pincher. And I don't mean that as like a slight. He
Right.
he had an
Oh, he
advanced
was.
programmable thermostat.
No, he
Before that was a
was.
thing. Every light was on a timer.
Yeah.
You know,
But that's how every bowling alley is. If you even go out to Coloma, I love you, Bradley. I love you, Bradley. But yeah, you are. He knows he is. But that's how even Ron before in Coloma was. He's not open during the week. So on the weekends when he's open, all of a sudden it's like in the middle of winter.
It's freezing.
It's
It
freezing.
goes
Until the heat kicks on,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden the heat's got to kick on the whole entire open atmosphere of a bowling alley. So it does suck. So yes, you got to turn that on beforehand
yeah.
to heat up everything else for everybody else to hit the area where they're at. But
Mhm.
once you start mobile and you're bowling, and I'm a bowler, so I know. So you're bowling
getting them warmed up
and
there.
you're
huh?
getting your body's getting warmed up and your
Mhm.
body's heating up.
Yeah.
You're feeling it. Then all of a sudden you're saying, "Damn, I'm fucking hot! Oh my god!"
Well, not even
I
that.
need to stop.
You're just getting used to it. That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
Just get used
So-
to it.
Yeah. They so we had those leagues that were still there, and we
Yeah.
said, hey, we'll honor Kirk's prices, but you won't be able to drink, you know, any alcohol
All right.
here.
So my question is, since you just said that, I'm
Mhm.
gonna stop you while you're in your sentence. I'm sorry,
It's okay.
but did that hurt you because the leagues were expecting a hard liquor than anything else? Because since I'm a bowler and I heard a lot of bowlers talk about that some of the leagues were gonna shut down because they can't drink hard liquor. Did that kind of hurt your feelings or your atmosphere of
No,
bowling?
no, not really, because we never really had more than a couple weeks where
Yeah.
we even could serve them anything.
Yeah.
But
and they
the next year on though.
well, the COVID killed them. They didn't kill the people; they killed the leagues because we had to stop. And then when they were ready to start back up, we still were under,
Yeah.
you know, pretty significant
It
restrictions.
did stop it 1 year only.
What?
I didn't think about that.
What?
Did it really stop my league? I didn't think about that. It's so far back that I'm thinking, well, did I stop for a whole year? Not
Yeah,
bowling.
you did.
Yeah,
I
You
did
had to.
actually.
You
Yeah,
had to. You had to,
yeah.
kid.
I
Yeah.
had to think about that.
Yeah.
It-
So that was kind of a challenge. And, you know, we knew and they knew that they're probably not our long-term customer in that, hey, we're here primarily to sell hard cider, and the bowling is the also ran, you know?
yeah.
And so it wasn't a lot of, you know, hard feelings, at least on my end. I still, you know, liked a lot of those guys. They were fun,
Yeah,
but they would come up and they'd like every day, hey, let me get a Coors Light. And then I'd be like, no, we don't.
See,
Sorry,
change-
man, we
see,
can't.
change it up.
I can only sell what we own, and I'm not buying Anheuser-Busch InBev.
Is it because of your liquor license? Or
Correct. Yeah, we're a manufacturer, so
So-
you can only sell what you make
so
yourself.
you can only have a manufacturer license?
No.
That's what you had.
Yeah,
I know that's what you have. I mean,
there's
That's all you can do.
no, I didn't know that there's a manufacturer.
yeah, there's
license.
different types of licenses. So there's retail licenses, which is
Yeah.
what like Sandbar has,
Yeah.
and you
Okay.
can buy anyone's anything, and you can
Really?
whatever. And then there's a distributorship license, which moves product to the retailers from manufacturers,
Okay.
which is the third tier, and manufacturers, which is what I am,
That is
are
awesome,
allowed
actually.
to have some retail activity, but I can't buy beer from
Oh,
somebody
okay.
else
Other
and sell it. I can only do it
distributors.
if it's my
I did
product.
not know that
Yeah.
actually.
So that's a really fun conversation to have with
Yeah.
everyone a lot when they're like, why can't I just have
Nice.
my Miller Lite that I like? Or why can't I get
Yeah,
a
that's what
pitcher of Bud Light, you know?
a
when
lot
you're
of the
bowling?
bowlers that came from Lakeshore this year was saying I really miss Lakeshore Lanes because that's what it was called. But I
Yeah.
really miss Lakeshore Lanes. Oh my god, the lanes are so much better. I can bowl there better. I know the lanes better and everything else. But the only downfall was they
didn't want cider.
They didn't want
They
cider.
want
But
cider.
Yeah.
I love cider. I mean, I go anywhere that serves like Watermark. I ask for what the cider is. The cider is first because I love cider more than anything than mostly microbrewery. Sorry, Watermark. But I do because I want to taste that first because I'm more of an alcohol drinker than anything. And I rather drink that. And that has more of a bitter, sweeter taste to it.
Okay.
This has more bitter, sweeter taste to it.
Yeah, this is our flagship product. This is the Huntsman. So that's what we sell the most of when we distribute. It's 9 times out of 10 that product. Just most places, they don't want to have like 5 ciders on. They want like one that is very approachable. So that's the target.
So you've had this on tap?
Yeah, primarily. Like 95% of our volume.
How many different ciders do you have?
We have 10 on tap at any point in time for the most part. But we turn them over a lot. So I don't know. We've probably had 30 some odd flavors, 40 some odd flavors over the course of years now.
Yeah.
But we just have 10 tap handles, so that's what we roll with. Yeah.
Another question: Do you have somebody that makes these? I mean, are you part of that process?
Yeah, we make them on the family farm I grew up on. So
okay,
we took
your hands on.
Yeah, yep. Okay. And I do have a head of production. His name's Eddie Hengish, and he's fantastic. He's worked for us for 5 years.
Okay.
And he was one of my customers, actually. He worked for another what's called a brew pub. And so those they can buy other people's products from elsewhere, and they can make their own beer, but they can only sell their beer on premise. So he's primarily a brewer background, but he'd also worked at some wineries and other stuff too. Yeah. And so Eddie's my right hand guy, for making it. He's vastly more skilled than I am.
Right.
And this is a different story, but during COVID, December of 2020, I got COVID. I lost my sense of smell and it never came back.
Oh, really?
So
I'm so sorry.
That truly limits my ability to make our product because for the most part, as far as packaging and, delivering and everything else I can do. But when you're in the middle of a fermentation and it needs just a little tweak this way or that, so much of that you need your nose for.
Oh man.
And even some stuff safety wise.
But at least you lose your taste though.
Yeah, it's really odd. It's like you're only getting half the picture.
Yeah, I know, but still.
Usually when I go out to eat, I was already predisposed to do this anyway, but I just get like the spiciest thing I can find because that has the most flavor to me. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's on occasion, like once every few weeks or so, I'll get like a whiff of something and I'll be like, hey guys, does it smell like something in here? And they're like, yeah, man, the cigarette butt thing caught on fire. It stinks like hell. Like it smells terrible. Most of the time it's a bad smell. Yeah. It's not like beautiful aroma.
Oh, wait.
It's kind of, I could never tell you what it was. I just get like the feeling that I'm smelling something, but I couldn't tell you it was popcorn or it was a burning.
Totally lost all smell.
Yeah, it's really
does that hurt you?
Suck, man.
How would it hurt?
I mean, does it hurt you in the long run? As for your job, family, home?
I mean, we had an infant during COVID, and it definitely didn't hurt my wife that I could change every dirty diaper and it unfazed me. Yeah, I was totally fine.
Get it done.
Yeah, get it done. So, I mean, not really. It's usually more of a shame to other people. At this point, it's been like 4.5, coming up on 5 years. Like that's a long time. You just get sort of used to the fact that you can't. And I'd like to say that all my other senses were heightened, but I don't think so.
Oh,
I think
wow.
I think I'm just as clumsy as I was before.
So you can still taste.
Yeah.
You can still taste. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So I caution myself on even like, giving too much feedback on like, oh, this new flavor or whatever. Like I still do get some sense of it, but I'm not getting the whole picture other people
Right,
get.
So who helps you on the sense part?
Usually Eddie, he's got a fantastic nose, so
Yeah.
I just kind of rely on
Eddie is your
head of production. He's
And-
the main guy
is
making the
that
cider.
it's in the, I know how there's a wine maker.
Mhm.
He's more the cider maker.
Yeah,
Is there
that's
a
the
cider-
correct term. Actually, a cider maker.
Is there
Yeah,
a cider maker now?
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I know there's a wine maker, brew maker.
It's pretty boring, name.
Yeah, that's
Like
yeah.
like
You don't hear
cooler
that
is
very often,
cooler
though.
than cider maker.
I know
Yeah.
you don't
But,
hear
yeah.
that very often as
You don't.
cider maker.
Yeah.
But I mean, cider actually is new wave in town.
Mhm.
That you guys are now capitalizing on everything that is out there instead of wine, beer.
Mhm.
You are the new product in the atmosphere.
Yeah, really. That's kind of why we were looking at cider was
You
that it
are.
was the fastest growing. And, what really took the wind out of the sails for cider was hard seltzers. They were not a
Yes.
thing, when we got going on it. And so hard seltzer did a big number on cider as far
Oh,
as
yeah.
capturing that
Yes.
alt
yeah.
beer
It
category.
helped you.
No, it was bad.
It's
It-
bad.
it
You know,
took-
so I think it helped you because hard cider is
That seltzer kick was
yeah,
seltzer,
a big
seltzer kick was
wave.
huge, and it's
See, I
so
like
much
seltzer
cheaper to
better.
make than cider. Our entirety of our raw product is fresh apple juice. That's vastly more expensive
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
mostly water.
Yeah.
see, I think it helped you because on one wavelength, because that they built you on a new pedestal to go on beyond what they're at to go one higher up, and you just made it.
Yeah, I do think it got people thinking about like, oh,
Oh,
well,
so-
maybe if I'm
yeah,
going to drink
that's what I'm
4
saying.
of something in a day,
Yeah.
or whatever, or an
It's
an
I mean,
afternoon. I
it's
don't know.
Yeah.
something different than the
Yeah.
average stuff.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying.
Your not ciders, but your seltzers, which everybody in this town drinks.
Mhm.
They drink them on a regular basis. There's always somebody wants a seltzer,
Yeah.
but a cider, something different. It's
Mhm.
something different for
Yeah.
the palate.
It
So we
is.
thought we would be extra different and also buy a bowling alley and then try to lock those 2 things up, which is, those are both big swings.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but
So,
you'd be surprised how many people love to bowl,
mhm,
and there's a lot of people out there, especially with the Lakeshore area growing.
mhm,
I mean, I see houses being built every day.
yeah,
It's a new subdivision somewhere being
Mhm.
built. Matter of fact, I was riding on Glenlord. They have like 2 different spots that are making new subdivisions in.
well, yeah,
So that gives you more. It brings more notoriety to everything around here.
yeah.
The more population grows.
We've found that craft alcohol is like seasonality wise, it's busy in the summer and slow in the winter.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that
Yeah.
buying a bowling alley was kind of attractive to us is that building seasonality is completely the opposite. Bowling is more of a wintertime bad weather activity. And so the idea was like, well, maybe we'll be flat year round. And then I don't have to like scale up and hire a bunch of people knowing that I'm going to lay them off later. Or, maybe best case, we'd just be busy all the time, but that's unrealistic,
Right.
So
Yeah.
we've found now a number of years in, and really just the last year or two were the first ones where we could legitimately look at our data and say, is this true that we're busier this time and slower this time? Because the rest of them were like, mass grills go away, we're busy. Mass grills come back, we're dead.
Yeah.
Like all
Right.
over the place. So we found that, not super aggressively, but we definitely follow more of the bowling seasonality. So in the winter is when I'm way busier than in the summer. So that's why we put a
kinda
mural on our
shocked, though.
patio and trying to make it more of like also come to us when it's nice out.
Right.
too,
You
kind
can
of
sit
thing.
outside
Yeah.
instead of being inside.
Yeah.
I've been to this place in the summer. I love it.
Yeah.
The only thing for criticize on aspect was yes, you are on pavement or concrete
Mhm.
or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
Blacktop.
Yeah.
You're on blacktop, but you have umbrellas and
Mhm.
canopies and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's nice to have.
Mhm.
That's the best thing you can have for the outside area.
Right.
But yeah, the only downfall is you're not underneath grass, but who cares?
Yeah.
I like the atmosphere. You had bags, you had the atmosphere, you had everything that you need to have out there. It's just, and you have a food truck
Yeah.
outside
We'll
the
do
place
that.
all the time.
Yeah.
There you go.
When you do, and we've been we talked to a couple of food trucks, and one guy's been there and he loved it.
Yeah. I see his card. There's a jalapeno
Yeah,
grill.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tobias.
Yeah. He rolls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Burrata
his
pizza. That's what's up.
dude,
Yeah.
dude, I actually, sorry you just brought that up. That
Did you
pizza,
get one?
no, actually, Jeff brought one in. That's a whole size of a pizza box.
Yeah,
Actually,
he told you.
You
that
could,
thing-
you could eat it for like 4 meals.
yes,
I always get one. Even
Yeah.
if I'm not hungry, then I'm like, I'll eat over the course of 3 days. I don't
Yeah,
care.
he brought some 2-pound burrito in here. That was
yeah,
just
that
crazy.
yeah, that
How many do you eat?
I ate just half of it. I had to split with this guy. I was like,
no, yeah, we split it.
it was a pound. I was like, but it was
But he
great,
also
man.
brought tacos. In.
Oh,
And
nice.
tacos too. So
Very
it was
cool. He didn't come empty-handed either.
No,
not
no,
at
he
all.
didn't.
Not at all.
He didn't.
I
But
didn't-
yeah,
I've known this guy for years.
Yeah,
and I
he
didn't
did.
even know he owned it.
Yeah.
Till you walk
It's
in the
kind of
door.
new.
until you
right?
want is it
Yeah.
who are we getting in?
He's only
Who are
been
we
doing
getting
it for what, a year and a half,
Mhm.
maybe.
Year and a
Something
half,
like that.
yes.
Yeah, so he's been really, really killing it, and he stayed open all winter long.
And
So
he was
that gave
killing
him
it
an
then.
advantage.
Yeah.
To where people get to know who he is or
Mhm.
what he's doing.
See, my thing is for you. You guys are, my eyes are killing it. You're a great location,
Mhm.
great atmosphere, family friendly, and cider's actually root for all evil for everybody that's out there. That if they don't want a beer, have a cider because you have different type of ciders.
Mhm.
What are the other type of ciders that you have that people can get at that place?
Yeah. Our, my personal favorite
Oh,
is
you didn't bring your personal?
no,
beer,
I
though,
didn't.
No.
Yeah, I didn't have any cans. Otherwise, I
Oh,
would've.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called the Knave, and it's a hopped cider. So essentially,
Yeah. See,
and it's really neat. You just get mostly like the floral aspects of it. So especially if you can smell, it's even better
Yeah.
to you.
oh, wait, I had to stop you for a minute. So
Joe.
no, I got to ask this question. No,
let
the
him
hop
finish.
cider. No, so people know what the difference is between what we're drinking now
Mhm.
to a hop cider. What is? I really don't know. What's a hop cider to the different atmosphere of different cider types?
Yeah, it's kind of its own category.
So-
It's a bit of a blasphemous thing to do because most of the cider community does not want to be associated with beer. They want to be known as totally their own thing, more like
Right.
Europe does or whatever. So sometimes within the hard cider world, they don't really like that, but customers sure do. I do.
Yeah.
And so essentially you're making like a giant tea bag of pelletized hops and you're steeping it in there and then you're filtering it all out. So there's no little bits of hop
Now,
floating.
does
in
it
your
give
cider.
it a hoppy taste to it?
Yeah, but
That's
not
where I
you
was
don't get
going
any
with
of the
this, yeah.
bitter aspects
Okay.
of it. Just kind of the notes. So it really lets the part that most people like about hops kind of be
See,
up front.
I'm more stuck
Cool.
on the hops part. What is on a cider? I know what hops with beer. What's a hops with cider? That's what I'm trying to.
It's the
I'm losing
exact same product. So we'll take
So-
Citra hops or
So it's
whatever it
more
is.
if I bite into an apple,
Uh-huh.
I'm getting more of an apple taste or less apple taste.
If you're biting into an apple,
I'm trying to figure out the hops part.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
You gotta
lost.
let them tell.
it's
the story.
sort
I
of
know.
like I suppose you wouldn't bite into a hop. You know, that's
Yeah,
like
you can do
a cone or whatever. So a hop
I'm
is
trying to figure that out.
a plant. It's kind of in the same family as marijuana, I think. So it kind of grows on. They're called vines, but they look like vines
Yeah,
and they
I
grow
thought-
really tall.
So you add that to
Yeah. So we're
Oh,
basically taking like the
thank
finished product and
I was lost.
just like
I
they do
was.
with beer.
Tell the story.
Yeah.
I was lost. I was lost.
He was telling you the
Yeah.
story.
I was lost. The whole hops thing I had to stop because
Yeah.
I'm picturing something totally different than what he was telling
Let your mind rest, Joe.
Yeah.
Let him tell the story.
Just listen to my voice,
Here
John.
you go. Close your
Yeah,
eyes.
just listen close. And I'll tell you it all.
Oh, please
Go ahead, Dan. Finish what you said.
So some other flavors we have too. We'll do like on rotation a number of what I would call simple fruited ciders. So we're like the matchmaker is one that has cherries. So we're buying from Coloma Frozen Foods. basically
those.
frozen, mashed up cherries, like a giant ice cube of those. And we're adding that to what would be the same base of
The-
cider.
yeah.
And then it's going to pick up a lot of color. It's going to pick up a
Yes.
ton of cherry flavor. It's going to pick up a lot of the sugar. So it's going to be a little sweeter, and it's going to have, that whatever that fruit is, whether it's, we do like a cherry one, a blueberry one, a
Watermelon.
Concord grape one.
You do watermelon.
We've done watermelon
Yeah.
and some stuff in the
Yeah.
past. Watermelon's tough.
I've had the one.
Yeah, it's a harder one to deal with
Yeah.
for sure.
You didn't do a peach one, did you?
We did a blood orange peach one before.
Yeah,
That was
okay.
pretty good. Yeah.
Just to jump back on the hops one, is it lighter than a hoppy beer? I mean, like say for instance, you get a Two Hearted.
Mhm.
Comparing that to your cider, is it your cider lighter?
Yeah, definitely. It
Yeah.
looks the same as the Huntsman looks if
Yeah.
you were
Yeah.
to dump it out into a clear glass, not a red solo cup. But
Levi's so.
hey man, I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying you can't see through it.
We're not sponsored by you.
Oh, you guys got solo sponsor? Oh, hey, wait, do we have to take a minute for ad break?
No, not at all. Not at
Red
all.
solo cups, everyone.
We're not sponsored by
Yeah.
you yet. We're not sponsored by you yet. We're showing
You
you
don't have a
out.
red solo
Yeah.
cup.
You don't have a life. All right.
Exactly.
But yeah, so then we'll do some other really unique stuff that
That was awesome.
Eddie's done, and some of the flavors I kind of had the first run on, but Eddie's definitely like, and he was so sweet, when I first was working with him, and he came to the cider barn with me, and I'm somewhat self-taught, but also learned from other people, helping them out, and there's like 12 Corners helped me out a lot, and so they had taught me some stuff. Glenn, who works there.
Yes.
And
Good guy.
he's the man. He's the
Yes.
best. And so, I was telling Eddie how I was doing things, and I told him early on, like right away, I said, I'm going to show you exactly how I do stuff, not because I expect you to do it the way I was, just so you know if I've been doing it wrong, how wrong and how long I've been doing it that way.
Yeah.
And so he was really nice about it, where he would go like, you can do it that way. There's nothing unsafe or wrong about it, but most people tend to do da, 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 da. So I've learned just a ton from Eddie. So he's been great.
That's you got what? Are you looking like that for? Are you happy with that?
He's just happy.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah, I think he's
Good,
vibing.
good.
Yeah.
So I thought you were purring for a second. Like a cat.
I just poured another beer. It's actually this.
But he's still
Love this
content
stuff.
over there.
I'm at 10. So to go back with the whole bowling atmosphere of it.
Mhm.
So the second year you're open is right now, right?
No.
Oh,
This
no,
is-
no, I
we-
meant 2020, towards 2021, when you can finally open shit up.
Mhm.
You're nonstop. How did the outlook from that?
It was still bleak. It was still so slow.
Yeah.
I mean, people
Were people scared?
were still scared. They weren't coming in, or this was a lot of their first experience there ever. I know you're in hospital. You're in hospitality at some point too,
Oh,
Joe, at least.
Yeah,
little bit.
we all are.
It's not the best way to make a first impression
Yeah.
with welcome to Pete's Cider. Write your name down here and your contact info so I can give it to the health department in case there's an outbreak. And you have to stop them
Yeah,
in front.
yeah.
No more than two households at one table. No more than 6 people, 6 feet apart. No commingling. We had social in our name, and social distancing was like what everyone was saying.
High.
Yeah, so people are definitely distancing themselves from us.
Dude, he's funny. So
But that was not a great way to make a positive first and lasting impression. That said, we had a lot of people still trying to come out and support us, a lot of to-go stuff, but you can't support that business on to-go. And I mean, it's a 16,000 square foot building.
Yeah.
It's not like my bills were any cheaper for maintaining it. So it was really tough, man. It's still a little tough, honestly.
So after the first 2 years, then were you scared? Like, oh my God, did I make, I hate to say this, a dumb decision?
Yeah, I ask myself that all the time. Yeah, I do that every day. You're not an entrepreneur if you're not like, am I an idiot? Why am I doing this? I could just work
Question
for
yourself.
someone else and make a good wage and not have to worry about these kinds of
Well,
things.
that kind of keeps
Oh, wait.
you on your toes.
Yeah.
I'll stop you on that to go back on your whole quote that who we are. And I like how he said that on how you asked that question, he read that almost word for word.
Yeah,
on
really?
this.
I don't even know
Yeah.
what that says on there, man.
Yeah, almost read that word for word on that. But my thing is, when you bought the place, and you bought where you can brew it at, somewhat at,
Yeah.
because I know every place has 2 locations where you can brew most stuff
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
Because you're brewing most of the stuff
Yeah.
at one place and the other place here.
Mhm.
So opening this place up, were you thinking, oh my God, now you're thinking in 2 years, 3 years into it?
Yeah, no, I mean, we didn't make a ton of production investments in that building,
Okay.
just simply because it would be dumb to have multiple sets of pumps in multiple locations. We did the minimum required, and we follow all the laws and rules, but we
Yeah.
did the minimum requirement to kind of get the manufacturing license approved there, which is essentially like a homebrew kit. And one time a year, you have to make a batch on it. You don't even have to sell it. You just have, in order to be honest and keep your license, you don't even have to sell it. You just have to,
you don't have
at
to
one point in
sell it?
time, make it. Yeah. So you could just like let, 5 gallons ferment in back and not sell it. And
So how long does it take to ferment a batch of cider? Because I don't know that aspect of it. I know wine.
pretty
I
much.
know wine very well, but
Yeah.
I don't know cider
So
as well.
our whole process would be, our raw product is basically fresh juice like you would get from a roadside stand, specifically at Jolly's in Coloma. That's who we get all our juice from and how we have since
I
the
love
start.
Jolly's oranges.
And
God,
they're the best,
awesome.
fantastic family.
Yep.
And
They are.
Went to high school with Jay Jolly.
all right,
Yeah.
Jay's the man.
Yeah.
Why don't we
Now
get
I know
them
how old
on?
you are.
Why
Yeah.
don't they get them on?
I can get a hold of him. I
Do
can get a
that.
hold of him.
Do that.
I will.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, we'll get Jay.
I'll get Jay.
Jay's a character.
Yes.
So that's our raw product. So from there, you're going to pitch your yeast and any other nutrients so that it has a nice, easy, lazy ferment. And then you're going to let it settle and you're going to pull the juice off the top and let it settle again. And then you're going to run it through a filter down to 0.45 microns is like how small you get. And that would be totally base cider, no sugar, no other flavors added back to it. And that's kind of how you start a fermentation.
Okay.
Then you would decide, okay, I want to be at a certain sugar profile, which is in terms of wine is called residual sugars,
Yes.
RS.
I know that part.
And you're going to have an acid profile you're looking for. And if you wanted to add hops or add, some other fruit or something else, you do it at that point too. And
There's no sugar in
that
this?
no, there's sugar in that. Yeah, this is 3.5 RS or so. It doesn't say it on there because that means nothing to most people. We just have a rating on it with like a little dot. And truly, one side, 0 sugar, that is known. How sweet something can go, you could, so it's kind of a subjective scale.
That's where I'm trying to figure out how you guys process all your stuff, because I'm kind of intrigued about how you guys process it. So you keep on going.
So then,
this is awesome,
the time frame that it takes. So after you get it, and now you've got it, the sugar you like, and you've got any sulfites if you want to put those in, so it's extra shelf stable, etc. Then it goes into the last type of tank, which is called a bright tank, and that's where you're force carbonating it, and that's why when you poured it, it was fizzy and whatever. So
still is
that process from fresh pressed juice to finished, if you're not like rushing it anywhere in there, is around 6 weeks.
So
is the takt time.
It takes 6 weeks to
make a new batch.
A new batch.
Yeah.
So do you have to put an expiration date on any of this stuff at all?
Not really, based on the
bottom of the can,
that's the canned on date or whatever.
Canned on date. That's what I was looking for. Actually, I was looking for some wines you had to do. It's on the bottom of the can. So I know. I looked at the whole can, and some places you have
expecting the can.
I do. I actually all my questions and everything else. But on the bottom of the can, you have when it was produced?
No. That's when it was canned. So when
canned?
we rent a canning line, and then they come out, and we just go straight out of the bright tanks through their canning line.
So how long did it take to make a can?
To like, how long does it take to can the can? It's like seconds. It goes super fast.
So
like
I mean,
30
this
seconds
one says Jesus, 8:24.
Yeah, yep.
Definitely need glasses.
I know I had to read it actually.
But honestly, we have cider is more akin to wine than it is to beer.
So how long?
So years, literally years.
You can keep this on your
Absolutely,
shelf.
absolutely, you could, and it would taste just the same, if not better.
Very good shelf life.
And that's
Really?
because it's more like wine than it is like
Yeah.
beer. And we don't like can anything that wouldn't stand the test of time very well. For example, we have some flavors where we're like intentionally mixing fresh fruit puree stuff like in the keg and only serving it in the tap room. That will settle. Gravity will do its thing and they'll settle over time.
Right.
And you can explain that to a customer when you're pouring the ground, like, hey, now just so you know, in a week or so, you might start noticing it's lighter at the top and dark at the bottom. Just give it a little shake
yeah.
before you pour it. It'll taste just like it did off the draft. But you can't really like explain that effectively
Did you
in a can.
ever think about going to bottles?
We did have bottles.
I know. That's
Initially,
what I thought.
we have,
That's what I thought.
we have a
'cause I have a
couple-
bottle of yours actually still in my
Yeah.
fridge.
probably it's probably fine. Yeah,
So all I do is gotta shake it.
probably not. That
Probably.
one, if
Yeah, you
it's
don't want to do that.
most flavors, it would be. I wouldn't shake it.
Actually, I think it is a Huntsman.
Then it's totally fine. I bet it'll taste great still. We have some from like
I
our
love
first
your
production
bottle.
year.
I love when you guys
years
had
ago.
bottles. Why'd you got to go with the cans?
Cans are just a way more popular form factor. I mean, we could ask James, how many bombers, 22-ounce bombers are you going through at Sandbar? None, right? There's no room in the cooler. You don't want them.
no.
They're a cool share size. They were a good go-to-market form factor.
Technically, that's been a solo cup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it fits perfectly. I'm going back to the second year after COVID.
Mhm.
What was your marketing strategy going into year 3?
Ooh.
We really targeted company events because that was a good way where you're dealing with one or two individuals, usually either the owner or the head of HR or there's someone, and you might get 25, 50, 150 customers, 95% of which would be first time ever.
Yeah.
So they could come in, they're not even on their own dime. So they're not even thinking about price point. They're just like, was this fun? Was it cool? How was the vibe? You know, did all the stuff work? Did I like the cider that I didn't even pay for? So we focused really heavily on company parties and launching that. And in the last couple of years, I hired someone whose sole job is marketing and events. And so her name's Mel. She's awesome. She's my assistant manager now. I promoted her. And so that's still a big bread and butter for us, honestly. There's not a ton of places that you could have 100 people come in, and whether they want to do it up big and they get somebody like Classic Catering to come in and have the prime rib station or whatever, or if they want to keep it kind of cheap and just get pizzas for everybody or a taco bar from somewhere or hire a food truck to come or whatever. You know, our food license allows for people to bring in outside food.
Okay.
That's cool. Just no outside drinks. So we encourage that, you know, hey, even if there's a food truck, although I'd rather you bought from them, we don't always have them. So you're always welcome to bring in outside food,
Or
just no beverages.
Or even a birthday party. You guys are family friendly.
Yeah, we do a lot of
for sure. Birthday parties alone, they can they can come and cater their own birthday party.
Yeah.
And come and do it.
Yeah.
And that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it works great. So there's
great.
like a little party room on the north end of the building, which is where the 6 lanes of bumpers are. So that room gets used sometimes for smaller corporate events where they want to close the door and they're doing their like quarterly review and then whatever. But mostly kids parties down there. And then on the other side of the building where the diner area used to be and the video games used to be after that. That's where we got these kind of cool big booths, and there's like a buffet table and some other stuff over there. And that's where, like, if someone's having a 4-year-old's birthday party, we're going to send them to the north end of the building. If they're having a 40-year-old's birthday party, they're going to go on the south end, which is closer to the bar, closer to the patio, all that kind of stuff.
So how did that feel after doing ciders and everything else? Now you're throwing birthday parties.
That was fine. Yeah, that didn't bother me. I mean, I was a camp counselor and stuff growing up. Like I got 3 kids.
You're a camp counselor. Where at?
Van Buren Youth Camp.
Nice.
Anybody went
Good
there?
for you.
My whole family
No, I never
went there.
did.
Yeah. But so yeah, I like being a place people congregate, and that's cool. And we are uniquely good at handling large groups. And more so in the last couple years, we've seen a lot more wedding rehearsal dinners, wedding welcome
Really?
parties, and just sort of organically, a lot of times they're getting married in Stevensville still at the Solarium by Watermark, and they'll do their, welcome night arrival at our place. They all stay near Watermark, and then they have the wedding the next day. So they kind of get a little tour of Stevensville there. It's cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So yeah, we have a really good relationship. I love those guys.
Have you feel that it's built up since you started at 2020 and built your way up?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think 2019 is when we bought it. Yeah, but we really didn't get open until
2020 until now. Have you seen it? People inviting themselves into you and making them feel more welcome.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got a 4.8 on Google.
That's
so
good.
No big deal there. But but so we get good. Get good feedback. And we kind of we'll roll from it. And I'm always looking at the reviews. I know that any famous comedians like, I don't read your comments online or whatever. But man, there's always some good nuggets of even if it's a 3-star. Some of them they're kind of unfair. They're like, oh, we came there and I checked their website. It said they were closed for an event and I'd really like to get to go 3 stars. And I'm like, well, you didn't even get to show up. Like, what do you mean? How that's not fair? But other times they're like a 3-star, this machine broke and this whatever happened. And, it'll kind of tell you like, all right, maybe we need to put a little more attention on maintenance. Or most of the time it's like a communication breakdown between us and the customer. You guys probably know that. But it's like, dang, man, if only we'd have said the right thing in the right moment. This is at least a 4 instead of a 3, or it's a 5 instead of a 4, or it's a 2 instead of a 1, or whatever. So, that's what I try to reinforce with our staff. And, even some stuff, Josh Cosner, one of the co-owners in the building, and he and I were doing like basically crash course pin setter maintenance lessons from Kirk, who we bought it from. And
really?
Absolutely. Yeah. We were getting done at our day job where he and I worked together. And then we would meet up and work on pin setter stuff till 11 p.m. or whatever with Kirk.
That's tough.
And, I grew up on a farm and I still have my first car. So I was always wrenching on things. So that aspect.
You still have your first car?
Yeah. It's parked out front at the Socials. That white Cadillac, that 1970 Cadillac.
Really?
That's my first car.
Yours?
Hell
Yeah. I bought it when I was 15.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big car right there. 1970.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. So anyway, that part didn't intimidate me too much. And Kirk, who, all of his friends were the 60-something-year-old, bowling leaguers, and that's how old he and his wife were too. And, them not having kids and him, not having siblings, Kirk really doesn't know all that many young people. So he had a lot of assumptions of like what millennials are like. And, so anyway, after him getting to see Josh and I, being able to turn wrenches and learning from him and just kind of bonding and stuff, he's super funny. He said, one of the days when we were like done working on stuff, just kind of like wrapping up, he said, I'm going to write a book. Millennials are people too.
How old are you?
I'm 39. I just turned 39 this month.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he's a millennial. He's right at the cusp.
I know, but I say shit because I'm thinking, damn.
You're at the cusp of Gen X.
I'm a Gen X.
Yeah, you almost at that board.
I think 1981 is like the beginning of the millennial, the end of the Gen X.
Yeah.
I'm 86.
I always look at myself when I have someone that entrepreneur like this, the guts to do it.
Well, just didn't feel like doing it.
Or maybe you're not that dumb.
There you go.
No, I am that dumb. But I didn't have the guts to just do it on that one.
Well, I didn't do it alone. I mean, the only reason that we're still doing
it. You could snap those back on.
Yeah, look.
Yeah.
Didn't know that?
The only reason we're able to do it is my wife still has a real job, and I had one too.
Yeah.
Up through COVID. I worked for a nonprofit in Benton Harbor for about 10 years. And prior to that, I was in IT sales.
Can you name that nonprofit?
Yeah, it was Connexus. It was awesome.
Oh, Connexus?
Yeah. And I I love
Great.
everybody there.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
And I left on good terms, and I still
Do
meet
you
up with
miss
my
it?
old bosses. I never thought I'd say this, but I kind of miss meetings. Like I used to have a lot of meetings, and it's like
that is first.
it's so hard in kind of the hospitality craft alcohol space.
Yeah.
People aren't used to it. They don't like them. They're not, they're not pre-programmed to know what to do about them and how to, be prepared. Now, the staff I have now that I've kind of built up and cultivated, like we still do, we don't do a lot of meetings, but I have one staff meeting every Wednesday, and all my operations leaders are at it.
Yeah.
And we try to get as much, done at that. And then it's sort of break out, and, people know what they got to do for the next week. And
So it's a positive input, or for your meetings as
oh yeah.
people give
And
a
they're
lot-
casual.
Yeah.
We make sure that we buy and look at something stupid on Amazon,
Yeah.
at least once a meeting, or like, oh, we got some kind of goofy event we're doing next month that I need a captain's hat for. I'm gonna scroll Amazon, and we can all pick this stupid hat that I buy. But it's we just have an awesome team, and I couldn't do it without them. So
that's the key right there, man. Having a good foundation, good
Mhm.
core group of employees to help run a business that you
and
put your
I'm
heart into.
open book. I share number. I mean, I obviously don't share with them what each other make, but I share sales data. I'll tell them anything good, bad, and otherwise that's coming up or going on, and how this might affect us, because I need their feedback.
Yeah.
I got to know what they're thinking or feeling about, something that's coming up, or a particular challenge, or an ugly review we got, or, a staff member that's struggling, personally. How do we help them, without crossing a boundary of what's appropriate and not?
Well, I'm going to go back to the feedback that you get from the like Yelp or
Mhm.
or Google or whatever it is. Do you? I mean, because I know it's a lot of people that put bad reviews just because they had a bad experience
Mhm.
for the first time,
Mhm.
instead of giving it a second chance.
Yeah.
How do you sift through the negativity? Do you take it as constructive criticism?
Sometimes if there's nuggets of truth in
Yeah.
there, I'll dive into it, even if I feel like it's kind of unfair. Like the one that said, like, hey, they were closed, and it was on a Monday, like
Yeah.
a rare Monday where we were closed for a private event. But they even said in their review, I checked, their Facebook and their website, and it said they were closed. And like, so no, we waved the flags to do that appropriately.
Yeah.
That one, And then you guys might do this too. If somebody leaves a bad review and you click on them and they have left nothing but a sea of 1-star reviews, and I'm like, this person's just perpetually miffed.
Yeah.
They're always
Exactly.
upset. Nothing's good enough. So their feedback, I don't
It's just
take.
trying to find something.
Trying to find something
Yeah.
bad to say. So those ones, I don't really care. Or it's more rewarding if they give you, mostly positive, but a little bit critical 4-star review, and you click on them and you see they do mostly give 1 stars. Then you're like, dang, we must have really done well in their book. But yeah, I think you kind of got to be willing to just divorce yourself from the emotions you might have from it, and look for, is there data in here I can deal with? And usually there is. So
What are you doing, Joe?
yeah, what happened to you, Joe?
I kicked it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Joe's
we
kicking
just-
it over there, baby.
Kicking the lights down.
Yeah.
I kicked my legs.
Nice.
You okay? Got a question?
Actually, I
I know
do.
you did.
So to go back a little bit more, what he was saying, my thing is, I'm going way, way, way back. How'd you get the name?
Pete Cider Social.
Yeah,
I'm
kind of curious.
Yeah, my last name is Pete.
I know that part.
And we make cider. So that part you guys could probably handle.
Did you want to name it after yourself?
It was more that when my wife and I were first looking to do cider, we were like, well, you can pick a catchy, unique name or whatever, and you might have to figure out, but what if your brand kind of changes from it? And you're like, there's other companies that'll be like, innovation cider or rebel cider or whatever. And like, if you're innovation and you find out, man, I actually have to do really standardy type stuff. Well, now your name in order to stay alive. Or if you're rebels, I need to do really weird type stuff. Well, now it's, and you don't do that or whatever. So some of it was like, we don't know exactly where we're going to be and what we're going to have. And initially, we were going to launch as Pete's English cider because we were trying to do an English style.
I think that's what Joe's alluding to.
Yeah.
And then we had any different ideas besides.
And then we were like, after a while, we'll switch from English and go to original cider. And then as we were doing all of our like paperwork and licensing and stuff, we realized it was going to be a bit of a challenge to have English in there if it's not a product of England. So our initial logo says English on it, and some of our very early like test merch and business cards and whatever will still have that. But we never actually came to market that way.
So,
and then the social aspect was more, we want to be a gathering place for everybody. And, that was just kind of a catchy name until COVID turned it into.
Is that why you look like Robin Hood?
Yeah, that one was just each flavor was going to get a character. Yeah, and that was
that why you look like
it. It truly was like, and we can have the character names be, kind of old world Englishy type
English
jobs.
looking Robin Hood.
Yeah, totally. You're right.
Type atmosphere like Huntsman, like Robin Hood, Huntsman type. Yeah, that's what I got from it. You got something else when you first asked him, but I always got Robin Hood from that. The Huntsman.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all coming together now.
Yeah, it's more Robin Hood, like the Hood, or like the TV show Arrow.
What?
Arrow.
Oh, that's more of a kind of
modern type. Yeah,
this is more like the Sheriff Nottingham.
And you said
it gives me that vibe. He's trying to save something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. That's the first thing I look at.
It's still Robin Hood, where
trying to save a buck.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, not a deer. Obviously, they're trying to kill a deer.
Always give back to the people.
And it can also go back to what the original owner had.
I always liked it though.
What he was doing for the customers.
I like the picture.
Yeah, another funny Kirk story where he was like, I jokingly would call him like the accidental environmentalist too. But because everything was like about, like everything was on power saver, this and that. But it was truly just about saving money, not not the environment or whatever.
But every bowling alley is like that.
Yeah,
sorry,
he did. He wouldn't use trash bags.
He wouldn't.
He would not use trash bags. He's like, well, trash bags cost money. You just throw them away. That's throwing away money. And I said, Kirk, I'm gonna take so much advice from you.
Oh my God.
Not that though. I'm not gonna take that one. Not that one though.
I was gonna ask you.
Guys, I'm happy to say we use trash bags.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, did he give you any great pointers on how to save?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he imagine he was like 6 when they built it, and he didn't work anywhere else. He only ever worked in their family business and took it over from his folks. And so, I mean, imagine having the same job for 60 years in the same building with the same equipment, with the same type of activity. Man, you would have everything figured out, so the way where he would have how he'd organize his parts, how he'd have, a number for each particular kind of belt and the little, sheet for it.
Down to
I just restocked exactly how Kirk did it. And that way also I could call him and I'd be like, and I didn't know him till we were trying to buy the place, but I jokingly call him Uncle Kirk, and he calls me Cherry Pit. But I'd be like, Uncle Kirk, lane 7's doing da 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 da, and he's like, okay, Cherry Pit, sounds like you got a bad relay. Go to the parts bin behind 11 and 12, go 4 down, 3 over. That's where the relays are. You got to open the box. All from memory. All from memory.
10-4, good buddy.
Over a phone call. And so he rules. He's cool. He's definitely like a one of one character of a person.
Yeah.
And sometimes people will be like, well, Kirk was a grumpy son of a gun, and I'm like, yeah, he was. He's proud of it too. He was fine with that. And he's awesome though.
I remember him actually. I grew up with him because when I started bowling, I was 16, so that would make him about probably in his
40s.
No, when he
30s?
retired.
I mean, when he sold it to us.
Yeah,
he's probably late 60s now.
So yeah, he was about in his 20s.
No, 30s.
30, yeah, 30s. Yeah, 30. I'll go with that. So 30, you're right. 30, still still
He was just getting into it.
He was getting into it.
He knew all the,
And he knew
probably knew
now
everything.
because his
No,
dad.
he went to like all sorts of pin setter school.
Yeah.
and
really?
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have to.
He's a fantastic mechanic. I help him do stuff. He helps me do stuff still. So
Yeah.
I'll still call him when we get stumped, but it got to be such a heavy lift for doing the,
I bet you,
mechanical maintenance. I had one of our good customers was sort of did the move of like, hey, what if I worked here? And I was like, well, what can you do?
Right.
And his name's Matt, and Matt's the man. He's a talented musician too, but he was a motorcycle mechanic. So I was like, you're more qualified than me. I'm like a shade tree hillbilly farmer kid. Like I'm winging it back there, so yeah, he now like, full-time mechanic, and he helps with some front house stuff too, but primarily, they're making sure the machines are running and humming. And I'm good still for like, oh man, we got to get by for tonight. How do we do that? But in terms of how efficiently can he do, a major overhaul, he's better and faster than me. Most people are better and faster than me at any singular part of the job. A little bit good at a lot of stuff. And that's kind of how I've always been, which, is make it hard to specialize when you're like, I also like to do this other thing too. So
if you need a part-time person, I know about 3, maybe now 4 in my head that probably know how to work on your shit. Honestly.
Matt's good though. I bet Matt.
I know.
Take him, mechanic off.
No, because that. Honestly, because that's. I will. Yeah, hit that button. I know you have.
They're both grabbing their wrenches.
No, because they actually all they do in their life have been working on in bowling alleys all their life. So a lot of them that I know been working on bowling alleys all their life.
It's cool. I mean, honestly,
and if you need someone part-time or you have questions about your guys' stuff, they will know the answers like that.
Well, we used we still use, I just saw them
because they bowled on it, they've been on it, and they know your background.
Yeah. We've got this guy, his name's Jamie, and he's like a traveling A2 Brunswick bowling mechanic for hire. So he lives over on the east side of the state.
Sounds like samurai.
He's the man, dude. He's got the best van too. It's got all those.
I met the guy. Actually, I met the guy.
You know Jamie?
Yeah.
Jamie Cecil?
Yeah. He
no way.
He drives all over.
Wow.
All over Michigan.
Yeah. He does. He's the best.
In a almost like a pickup minivan.
It's like a not a Sprinter.
No, it's like a.
It's
almost.
Got like
I want to say it's like a what am I? Mercedes-Benz type van looking.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the man.
Commercial van.
So he comes out once or twice a year, and that's where, like, if Matt and I are really stumped on this one thing and Kirk couldn't help us figure it out either, he'll do that. He'll bring us parts, but now he knows really well exactly what equipment we have and what we might need, and we can just call him up and we buy all our parts from him too, and he'll say, oh, okay. He's like shopping with his wife or something and be like, okay, yeah, you just got it. It's just like Kirk.
Right.
And it's sort of like with pin setters, all those Brunswick A2s are kind of the same. So, if you were a mechanic and you only ever worked on Ford F-150s, and that was it, and there was only one generation of that particular Ford F-150 you had to know, man, you'd be good at it.
Oh, yeah,
definitely. So your style at that bowling alley is getting old. Yes, I hate to say it.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting old. Where it is like I want to say a Shelby. So you only work on Shelbys.
Yeah.
You only know Shelbys.
Yeah.
And you only know how to work on Shelbys.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is your kind of type of style of your guys' place.
Yeah.
I hate to say that.
And that's fine. I like them. We leaned into the retro side of things where, like, it costs whatever, like $100,000 a lane to redo the lane, the pin setter, the scoring. It's 16-lane building. That'd be $1.6 million.
Totally.
I'm never going to make that back, charging people $25 an hour to bowl.
Right.
So we kind of leaned in on purpose heavily into the more retro stuff. I'm like the only guy in the world trying to buy more parts for our scoring that we have. Really? That's like a first generation style of score. And especially the I guess the Gen Z crowd, if you can get them out,
Yeah.
they're like, wow, it's so amazing. Like they think it's cool,
The
you know,
retro look.
dealing with old stuff.
Yeah.
If you're like
Oh,
over
gosh.
50, they're like, ah, man, they need to update this. But everyone who's my age and younger, they like it.
I think the retro
Yeah,
look
they
is
like it.
cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah.
I'm not old. I'm older than you, but yes, you guys are the old style score. Back in the day, Kelly's was still writing down with pen. Lakeshore Lanes was mechanical, was all electrical, was they're scoring by how it was. Now it's on a laptop and a whole new program that's put in, and they're now in the back of the book at Lakeshore. So now they reverse the times where now Strikers is at where they're at on time prime, and Lakeshore Lanes is now back in the heyday.
Yeah, they were one of
Yeah.
the earlier
They
automatic
were.
scoring.
They were.
I know Brunswick is based out of Muskegon.
Yes.
So
Yes.
they often would come to Kirk's dad, I guess, at that time and say like, hey, we got this new thing that we kind of like, and you guys are pretty much equidistant between Detroit and Chicago, and they might give them like a good deal to be an early adopter for whether it's like a new lane surface or the automatic scoring, that kind of stuff, just to kind of get it into the marketplace in a spot where it's like pop off I-94, go check out, you know, Lakeshore Lanes or whatever. And so they were kind of early adopters on some stuff, but from a customer experience standpoint, as long as the score works and it counts how many pins were down, like
That's right.
you know, as long as it actually does its job, I don't know that they need the graphics and the whatever, and that would take away from the ambiance and the vibe. I don't want to. I don't want uppers where they have like scores. I don't want a lot of TVs around. You know, that's like not the vibe
Does it
that
take,
we're
does it mean that takes away from the game?
Cool technology.
yeah. What's old school nowadays, but it was
Yeah.
at one point in time.
Yeah,
it was the Cat's Meow. It was brand new. Yeah, but definitely not. Those went in 1989. The scores did, and that's still what we're running.
What, 50 years old?
Yeah.
No,
almost 40.
Almost 40, yeah.
I only know that because I was born in 86 and I'm almost 40. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't even age you anymore. I'm sorry.
I do think
maybe because I'm 52. I should
there you go.
Want you to catch up with me as fast.
Oh, man.
All right, guys, we're gonna do the top of the hour. We had at past 9 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 9:09.
Yep. Getting ready to go into the second hour and finish this podcast up. All right, guys. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and like and bell notifications so you can get more content when we put it out on Mondays and Wednesday at 8 p.m. And not only that, guys, if you're watching, I didn't put it up today, I don't think, but we normally have a buy us a coffee logo with a QR code. If you want to donate to the podcast, it will be most we are thankful for that, and be most helpful for our podcast and our cause. It's not buying you a coffee.
It's not buying you a coffee. Stop saying buy me a coffee.
That's what it's for. It's a QR code. It's a donation thing. Nobody's buying you coffee, Joe.
No,
let's be quiet. Buy me a wine. How about that?
Ooh, you already got free cider.
Yeah, you got free cider. Just shut up. All right, guys, we're back at the podcast, episode 90. I'm James Gill, your host. This is Joe Hill, my co-host, and today's guest, Pete. Dan Pete. I'm sorry, I almost call you Pete. Dan Pete. Joining us for Pete. Cider Social.
I'm learning a lot about ciders, though.
Yeah, me too. This is a very interesting conversation.
Very intriguing.
Because
I love it.
I remember the time I first met you, you brought these in, and you were telling me about this, and you gave me the card, and then the of these right here.
Yep.
And it was
so weird.
Did it chop up a little bit?
Yeah, I'm choppy.
Robo Dan.
Oh my god, he sounds weird.
Yeah, this is. I didn't hit a button.
No, you didn't hit a button. Speak now.
Did you mute me when you were doing the break? Top of the hour.
No, I didn't.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
That's
All right.
How do I sound? Still a little choppy.
Yeah, it does sound. See if the
push that back. There you go.
How about now?
Oh, there you
All
go.
There we go.
Oh,
We'll
cool.
slide it
Oh.
out there.
Yeah.
All right. Now
thank
we're back.
God.
All right,
maybe
guys,
kinda
I'm
weird.
back.
Dan Pete is back, guys.
Yeah,
All right,
I'm
guys.
back.
He's back.
Wait a minute. How you just said that? You did all the selling?
Of course,
He was
man.
doing the
Yeah.
You do all the selling on top
door
of
to door.
it?
Yeah, he was going
Oh
door
my
to door.
God,
Yeah.
you man.
Also, I live quite close to
And
Sandbar.
that I think that
but
had
doesn't
been
matter. But doesn't matter about Sandbar.
2022 when I first met you.
Probably around there. It wasn't even the first time I dropped at Sandbar.
Okay,
I've
But
dropped.
that was the first time I came
a
in
lot
contact
of
with
a
you.
lot of
But-
places.
But still, you do all the selling though.
Yeah, there's really not a ton of margin in distribution stuff. So really,
No.
when we are approaching that, we're like, we look at it with how will this drive any traffic back to where we have good margin in the tap room? Whether that's they're gonna
Yeah.
bowl and spend $30 doing that, or they're gonna, buy a 4-pack to go that's gonna cost them the same there, but I got 30% more margin in it now. So a lot of them, it's also I intentionally didn't sign with a distributor because there's no margin in it. So I don't want to work
Good
for
for you.
free.
Good
Yeah.
for you. On that.
And
Good for you. On that.
that means though that either me or Eddie have to drive and deliver anything we have. So I'm not going to do a big push into Grand Rapids when it's not super likely that they're going to become a regular at
Right.
the social. Unless I was going to get 8, 9, 10 accounts up there and they would all be on the same, all right, we deliver every 2 weeks, get what you can or whatever. I started out looking at it like, okay, we'll just go for volume and we'll get really big. But like anybody, once you really get into a business, you realize like, oh, wow, this will work. That part of my plan won't work. And so being very distribution heavy was like pretty clear pretty early on, like, dang, that's not it. I'm going to have to do a tap room then.
Yeah.
So where do I want to put it?
That was the key right there.
So, but I guess I'm more hesitant on the business aspect of that.
Mhm.
Was why would you not want to broaden horizons in Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo,
Yeah.
Paw, like where you're from,
Yeah.
or push out your name?
You
out
can, but if you're losing, $100 every day that you're doing that,
Yeah.
it doesn't take much. If you're
What?
driving around, you lost a day, and the likelihood that they'll come back is not as great. So that's kind of where it was like, all right, do we do that push, or do we make a more concerted effort to get more events? And we have a cool event center. And if it has wedding added in it, you can charge triple what a normal. You want some flowers? $10. They're for a wedding, $30.
Right. Right.
So you can, there was greener pastures there, and all of business is a series of trade-offs. The good idea fairy could keep popping cool things to do all the time, but if you don't have the time and resources to execute it, you have to decide which ones you want to do.
And with that idea, you probably can get a lot of people word of mouth.
Mhm. Yeah,
Just to spread the word that you have a quality product,
definitely. Yeah.
or something that anybody that wants to get married or have an
Mhm.
event can come to and be at your establishment.
Yeah, definitely. And like marketing is a tough game to decide like, oh, what worked well, what didn't. And we had like an I-94 billboard for a while, and it's like, $700 a month or something. And I'm just thinking like, did that really drive $700 worth of net profit
Right.
every month? When I heard maybe a customer a month, they're like, oh, we saw the billboard and just popped in. I'm like, okay, there's $44 there. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of some of the other stuff you look at. Like, is it really, getting me what I want? And
Well,
truly social
not
media.
only
is the
that,
best
with
bet.
the rise of social media
Mhm.
and things of that nature, you can always do it that way too. I mean,
Yeah,
if somebody's
definitely.
looking for
I
something,
mean, similarly, you
Google
go,
Maps would be the perfect idea to do
yeah.
it.
Or do you take that money that might go to billboards and instead paint a really cool mural on the side of your building that people will put on Instagram standing in front of? Like, that's a better,
Yeah.
use of the dollar.
I don't know. I guess I'm kind of old school, where I guess I'm more struck on if someone's willing to push you out and sell you in Grand Rapids into bars,
Mhm.
that's gonna buy kegs, that's gonna buy something from you. That's still money coming from you.
That's baby steps, though.
But
I mean, and it sells well. They're gonna get you. They're gonna keep on going and
Right.
keep on going. If you don't span your horizon into Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids,
the further you get from,
I guess
whatever's home base for you, the less the like, ooh, it's local, or I know them, or my kids go to school with them, or
Very good
whatever.
point.
Like
That's a good
that
point.
fades really fast.
Very good
And
point.
if you only have
okay.
$5-10 of margin in each of those kegs that you're selling, but you still got to get them there and back, and you still got to deal with it, and you got to devote a day of driving around, it's really hard to make the justification that that's worth it. So I mean, we could, and if we get to the point where
Would you want to?
only if we got to the point where we were as busy as we could possibly be at our current location, then I would say, all right, now we're as busy as we can possibly be. Where can we put our efforts in order to grow? Then honestly, even before I looked at distribution, I'd be like, what's a second location? Maybe we buy a 9-hole golf course and we have I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? Probably something else that I rarely do that I've decided, I'd sooner do something like that than pay a distributor, a third of the value
Yeah.
to just basically drive my product around. And I still got to pay people to sell it.
Right.
Still have to have your own sales team. So it really isn't a great fit for what we are doing. Not that it's not a great fit for others. Like, so it's really, in my mind, it's like you should maximize the investments you already made before you do another
Something
big
else,
one.
yeah.
So that's kind of why. So we started down that path, and then I decided I'm just going to work for free forever if I do that, and I'd rather not have this be an extremely expensive
It makes
hobby.
more sense.
Well, the foundation has to be concrete, so to speak.
I like it.
Before you,
I like how his answer was, though.
before you venture out, and make sure home base is taken care of first.
Yeah. Would you guys start a second podcast right now?
No,
No.
Yes.
no.
You want to make sure this one's going great, right?
Yeah, I
No.
want to make. What are you talking about?
He did. He started a second one on the side.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
Well,
Yeah.
He's wanting to. He wants to do
No.
a gaming one. So
no, well, for myself.
Yeah.
But that's
It's
still
still
in the
him.
work. That's still in the works.
that's still him.
Still in the works, though. I mean, I want to get this to where I need it to be in order to do other
Gaming
stuff
like gambling, or gaming like video games.
Game. Yeah.
Which kind of video
Video
games?
games.
All kinds of stuff. I mean, this maybe like
Video games.
like new stuff that new releases.
Okay.
So you can like
Video games.
yeah, that's what
But
we're talking
like PC games.
PC game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which ones? What do you like? I play PC games.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. What's up, Joe? Yeah.
Get it together.
Yeah.
You'll be able to laughing. I do
Still fucking
I
video
do
games.
a lot of open
make me
world
wanna go
video
play.
games.
Okay.
First person shooters is not my thing.
Mhm.
A lot of people
I don't
it.
love that either.
I don't get
Oh
into
my
that.
God,
But
I
open world is my favorite.
Okay.
And I would love to get to the point where somebody sponsors me to play their video games.
Oh,
They
that'd be
send
cool.
me video games and I'll do like a review on it.
Mhm.
That's why I was
That's cool.
trying to do.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice.
That's my goal.
What
You can
games-
be a
what
nerd.
games do
Yeah, you
play?
can't be a nerd.
Being
Joe.
nerds, cool.
I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, you
I
can.
can't
Yeah.
play video games anymore. I can't do it.
Well, that's cool.
What games do you like to play?
Me?
No.
Oh,
Me,
Yeah.
mostly like RPG or like strategy
Yeah,
type stuff.
yeah.
So like,
I get
and,
into that.
and my brother, he's much more into gaming than I am, but he lives in Paw Paw. He works at the power plant. We're on totally different, schedule. We don't get to hang out much. That's kind of my chance to hang out with Dave. Is like, oh, I see he's on Steam. Like, even though I should probably go to bed now, I'll be like, God, Dave, what are you playing? And then I'll go play like
So he plays while he's
Helldivers 2 or
Shit,
no, when he's home.
I was just
Yeah,
getting. I was just looking at this this GTA role playing game, and it's really cool. I just got into it,
Oh,
and it's really cool to play. You just
Yeah.
get into it, and you get into these lobbies where you have to be a character. You have to perfect that character or whatever, and follow the rules and all this stuff. Or you get banned or whatever.
Yeah.
But I see so many different gamers like trolling other gamers like that, and they make money off of that. And so I'm just looking at any avenue where I can broaden my horizon and build my name or build this podcast name.
Are you banned?
No,
from
I'm
anywhere?
not. No, I'm not.
Hey,
No,
you
not,
banned?
not yet. Anyway.
Anywhere?
Sorry,
No.
James.
In real life? Are you
No.
banned anywhere, Joe?
No, I'm not.
You're not banned?
I don't think I've been banned.
I
I'm
actually
banned for life from the Gingerman racetrack.
Really? What the hell?
James, I'm gonna do my first. I can't hold anymore. I have to
No,
you
he's
gotta
got to
eat
go. He's got to. He's
Oh,
got to
do
pee.
I have to get up?
He's
No.
got to pee.
Oh, you're going that way. Okay.
He's gonna climb under the
Oh
table.
God!
Don't trip over
This is the
anything.
first time.
Yeah.
90th episode.
Right. I get to be the one who was here when Joe took a pee.
I told you go before.
Oh my God! You went before me.
Yes, I know my limits.
God, I had to go. Yeah.
We'll continue this podcast.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. We don't need Joe.
Yeah. He's not banned from anywhere.
No,
That's not cool.
I don't think I've ever been banned from anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I got banned when I was
tell me the
16.
story.
Okay. It sounds cooler than the real
Yeah.
story is. So when I was 16, I had that 1970 Cadillac.
Yeah.
And so some of my other best friends who were also in their teens had old cars too. And we were part of the South Haven car show, and you could pay like an extra $20 with your registration. And the night before, they would do this cruise, and the cruise ended at the Gingerman Raceway, and you got to do 2 laps in your own car on the racetrack, which was like, whoa, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So we did the cruise, and we're going around, and we get to the racetrack. Well, understandably, they didn't think anyone under 18 would have a car that they're trying to send around the track, especially this is, the early 2000s. Like there were not a lot of young dudes at all or women at all at car shows. Anyway,
It's all
let alone owning
yeah.
the car or, showing the car.
As people pass they're in that midlife crisis stage. Yeah.
So we go and they're like, well, you're not 18. You can't sign the waiver. But they were like taking a really long time, and we're in the Cadillac listening to 8 tracks, just like leaving it idling. And they take a long time to like tell us no. And then they say, but if you had someone who was 18 that would sign for you and accept the, risk, like then you could do it. And one of my best friend who's passed away, his name's Ryan Tapper. He was like a few years older than us. So he's like, I'm 19. I'll sign for all these guys, which is like stupid. But anyway, so then they said, well, wait a minute. And they go back and they talk for like another 15, 20 minutes to come back and tell us no and say like, oh, it has to be a blood relative or whatever. And then we put, unfortunately, our other friend Kyle's dad on the spot. We're like, well, we're all cousins and this is our Uncle Tom here and he'll sign for us. And then they said, actually, no, just, you guys can't or whatever.
Right.
And realistically, Ryan and Kyle for sure, could have went around the track if they wanted to, because one was above 18 and one's dad was actually there. But I was encouraging Ryan, like, dude, you should do it. This is really cool. He had a 66 Olds 442. And he was kind of like the wild man of us, if anyone was. And so he's like, no way, man. If they're not gonna, let you guys in, like, I don't want to do it either. And he's in the front of the car line to leave. So he does a really cool burnout. And then my buddy Kyle, he does a really cool burnout. And I was like, I guess we're burning out, So I do a burnout, but we've been running my car, listening to 8 tracks the whole time. And I overheated. I burned out right into an engine stall. So like it's a long windy path in there. And so I kind of like glide to a halt, and the engine obviously won't fire. And so then the maintenance guy comes out on his like golf cart, and he's saying he's gonna call the police on us and stuff. And Kyle's dad, who's like the sweetest man ever, he's kind of talking him off. He's like, come on now, you saw how they were treating these boys. They did a burnout at a racetrack. Like, that's not a big deal. They didn't do anything truly dangerous. And, you guys were, because they didn't refund our money. They were kind of like rude about it or whatever. And so you could tell he's kind of got his hands on his hips, and he's jutting his chin out. He's like, well, I got to do something, And so he goes, all right, well, you guys, you're all banned for life. And he did kind of like a dramatic, like arm in the air, and then like my car started up, and we got out of there. But yeah, so that's my banned for life story. I imagine now that we could bury the hatchet, and I'd be like, I'm really sorry about that. Or they just simply, probably wouldn't remember me at all, but my car still looks the same. So they might be like, didn't we ban that car for life?
Maybe that guy's not even there anymore.
Yeah, who knows? But, and he did, I guess they had our info, but.
Where?
Oh, Joe, you just
So
wandering.
just wandering and start asking questions. Just listen to
Yes.
listen to the story. Man.
I was trying to talk loud enough that you could hear me over your stream, you know.
We don't have mics in the place.
Well, you gotta get a wireless headset.
That's what we need.
I tell you guys, not what could go wrong with a wireless mic headset and people going to the bathroom. Yeah, you better be ready to cut mics over there.
I went the first time in my
Yeah,
life.
yeah. Well,
90,
first time?
90 episodes.
Yeah.
90 episodes. I was the last one to hold it in.
I've done it once, and
I know.
That was it. I couldn't help it.
I know.
I'm surprised. You're a bartender. You got to know how to hold it. When there's
this
a big...
time, for some reason, I was like, man, I can't hold it anymore. I gotta go.
I was like this. I was like this. I went to actually 9:19. I went, oh my god, dude, I'm like in a whole another half hour. Jesus.
Well, it was almost one other time. I almost went by saying no, I could hold it, but I'm telling you, in the scene,
you had the wiggle legs going.
I couldn't stop.
I'm gonna scroll back through the last 89 episodes and be like, this is the time James had to pee.
You'll see it, and I'm like trying to hurry up. Come on, let's get this over with.
I went like this over the last time. Oh shit.
Yeah, it's not a good film.
I couldn't.
Not a good film.
The first time in 90 episodes, I finally went fucking pee.
All right, Joe.
Way to go,
Kiss
man.
my ass.
We need to get him a medal.
Dude, I was the last one to
this
stand.
right here.
What?
That's what you'll get, Joe. You use that button so long.
Why do I get the boo?
Because you just out of nowhere just start talking about peeing, and he's still talking about peeing.
Ah, dude, it was good.
It's top of mind for him.
It was all this shit in front of you right now.
Jeez, Joe.
This is so full.
Get it together, man.
Damn it.
All right, guys, let's continue with the show. We got another half an hour still.
So yeah, actually, I thought a couple questions.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah,
I went running.
When you get your best,
when
ideas.
when it went running and everything else. Dude, I sprinted and my knees just popped.
Oh boy,
I'm getting old. Actually, honestly, truthful answer was, how does your family feel about you opening a kind of a cider brewery type atmosphere cider?
Yeah, everyone's super supportive. I mean, I couldn't do it without my family. I mean, they renovated a building on their farm for us to use just for that purpose.
And that's taking up money from them.
Yeah, and my parents are both entrepreneurs too, so it's like that's how we are, you know, growing up.
Be supportive,
we weren't talking about sports around the table. We're talking about business problems and stuff like that. So
that's a family.
That's a
good family.
Yeah. So we
thinking of ideas,
and even my wife and I with our 3 kids, she and her mom owned a bookstore, 10, 8, and 5. So we, without sharing anything that would be improper.
Yeah.
When we're talking shop, I'll slow down and explain, this is what mom and I are dealing with. This is what we're thinking about. This is what the problem we have to solve. Like, there's so many ways and things to learn. Like, I'd rather they know that. If they want to, they may own this someday. They don't have to though. They want to be an accountant.
They can also learn as well as they're going along and growing up.
Mostly, I'm just trying to get them to be free labor, So
why not own it?
Should have had 4. Get another worker there.
The shit actually, I've had probably 75% of your ciders, and they're all phenomenal.
Oh, thanks, man.
They are.
Yeah.
All from the fruit ones down to this, and they're phenomenal. I love them all.
Yeah.
And I haven't had one bad one actually.
Have you had the hoppy one?
Yeah.
There'll be some that won't be for everybody.
The hoppy one is
you gotta hit
I
different
like
styles.
how he has it on here. Is the dry marker. I'm not a big fan of all dry. Like it's like wine.
Yeah.
I'm not a big wine dry fan, but on your can, I love Huntsman. That's my go-to. And I like it in the bottle.
Refreshing.
It is. I like it in the bottle more because anything always tastes good on a bottle. Can, yes, but bottle always phenomenal. But for me, I don't know why your kids wouldn't want to take it up. if they get.
I mean, they
get
might
old.
not.
Once
I don't know if I'd want to run a bowling alley either. Like I
the
just
bowling alley
yeah.
part, maybe not. They can support that aspect to somebody else.
Well, I
Maybe,
don't know.
maybe they
but-
come up with a better concept.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know.
So whatever they want to do, they can do. I'm not one of those, entrepreneur parents that's like, you must follow in the footsteps. I hope that they
This
do
is your-
something
this is-
creative and fulfilling.
This is your generation. You gotta take it.
Yeah. But they, we'll see what they want to do. I got my MBA and had a corporate life too, so I think, we'll see. They're so young.
To go
Who
with
knows?
go with your parents, how they had farmland.
Mhm.
What were they growing that beforehand?
So growing up, we were a tart cherry farm. So like Montmorency cherries was the style of cherry that we had. And that's like what you would have in pies.
Oh yeah.
Or when you get like a nut mix and there's dried cherries in there, those are almost always Montmorency cherries. So our cherry flavor that we do,
like to cook. So yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep. So the thing is, though, you only get about 30 years of useful life out of a commercial fruit tree. So right when I was finishing up my undergrad, all the trees were kind of end of life on the farm. We had it's a 200-acre farm, but 100 of it is suitable for tree fruit, so to speak. So it was getting to the point where it was like live tree, half dead tree, dead tree, live tree, no tree, no tree, live tree, live tree. And so you couldn't even spray very effectively. And your cost per acre to operate is getting higher and higher the less production trees are on it, right? So they kind of were like, all right, we're getting out of that. And at that time, even though my brother is now more of a, hands-on outdoorsy type dude.
How old's your brother though?
He's 2.5 years older than I am.
Okay.
None of us kids had any,
Still in the
immediate
family?
interest in farming. And that also was like my parents' other business. They also had an IT business in the Kalamazoo area. And so they were like, yeah, we don't even know where the labor is going to come from. If we plant these trees today,
Right.
it's a 30-year commitment. So they did what a lot of, boomer aged farmers do in the area of we'll go to a year-to-year row crop of some kind and lease the land out to someone else who will own those crops. And they got to have their own equipment. They do whatever. And essentially we become landlords. So that's what a lot of farming families did once they were like, I'm too old, or I don't know where it's going to come from. We still do have 30 some acres of grapes. And, that's pretty much the only thing that is truly, my parents' farm investment other than
So do they do anything like wine or anything like that?
no. We're part of the National Grape Co-op, which is part of Welch's.
Okay.
So if
Good
you
for
buy
you guys.
Welch's grape juice, they're a very minor player in
okay.
that.
Okay.
Yes, they are.
So that's kind of what the farm was growing up. So when I was 14, I was, once I could reach all the pedals on stuff,
Okay.
we had a cherry shaker. So essentially it would come up and, had these hydraulic arms that would grab the base of the tree and roll it out, shake and roll back down. But when I was probably I don't know, I was a little younger than that. Once maybe I was 12 and I could just finally reach the foot pedals on all the forklifts and whatever. And so I always worked on our farm. I liked doing it. And my parents had a farm manager named Don Henry. And so he and his wife worked for my parents since before I was born. So they were a second set of parents. When I screwed up, I had to hear it from another,
Sounds like my neighbor.
So anyway, So I was working with Don a lot. That's how I was able to buy a car when I was 15, because I never spent my money. I was saving it up for big stuff.
Yeah.
And
That's why you buy your car now.
yeah. So I was working with Don, and I don't know, you guys probably, it's not that different with any older equipment. Okay, well, I know that this mic still works if I have this thing bent just like this, but don't touch it.
Right.
And then it'll still, so all of our equipment on the farm was okay, these post hole diggers, a little bit beat up, but if you don't overstress it, you do it just right, you can still use it. So when you're 12, 13, you got no finesse. I was just breaking everything. I was crashing stuff. And I remember telling Don one day, and I was like, man, Don, I don't know. Everything I'm touching, I'm breaking. maybe this farming stuff just isn't for me. And
It's
he cussed a lot
more.
and smoked a ton and ate nothing but candy and drank nothing but regular Pepsi Cola. And so he said, well, you know, Danny, if you ain't fucking nothing up, you probably ain't fucking doing nothing. So it's fine. It's fine. We'll just fix it.
Well,
And so it's like I gave the non-F word version of that
See,
to a lot of my staff over
Yeah.
time, where they're like, you know, when you're new doing something or you're in the middle of getting better at it, like, yeah, you're gonna screw it up.
Yeah.
So like if you didn't try, yeah, you wouldn't screw anything up, but you also wouldn't be getting any better at anything.
Yeah,
So
you want to learn from.
that's definitely some sage cuss word farmer wisdom that I
like
not just that though. Everything you touch, they fix about 20 times. So every time you tighten it down, they said, oh, it finally fucking snapped. So, oh, it's about time a new person replaced it.
yeah, I just
So
had to break it enough.
It's gonna
Yeah.
it's gonna
Yeah.
not last another 20 years
Yeah.
down the road.
And my kids can break it.
Then you kids
Yeah.
can break it. There you go.
But yeah, so
See,
that was
that's how you
kinda-
gotta look at it.
that-
That's how
that
you
was-
gotta look at it.
That was a lot of growing
So
up farming.
now your
It's
kids are
cool.
gonna say they're gonna go when they get your age. Damn it, Dad! I keep breaking this shit. I'm sorry. I said, yeah. Then you got to give that word of
I'll just
wisdom.
tell them you're a dumbass.
There you go.
I won't pass
There you go.
selfishly
You're not gonna
keep the
pass
wisdom for
selfishly.
myself.
Yeah.
That's because you're a dumbass, son. I'm just kidding.
That tough love.
That's tough love, yeah. That's tough love.
Do you think have your kids helped out on the farm with your?
I
with
mean, there's not that much like
This is-
farming stuff to do,
Well,
but they
they're
definitely
under
more
10.
so.
well, one's 10.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
even
but
then,
they're under
I was picking cherries when I was 5. There's
There you go.
pictures of that.
Really?
Yeah. So there's some stuff, you know, more like yard worky
Do
type
you
things.
really know what cherry is good to pick at 5?
Well, the parents,
Like
yeah,
the down
people-
limbs, like
Yeah.
a limb that broke in a windstorm, you can't shake it.
Oh yeah.
So they would just send us over there and give us like pennies for each bucket we got or
Oh.
whatever. I mean, it was
You're-
just them probably
Yeah.
occupying us. Like they won't
you're
get run
busy, yeah.
over by a tractor if they're over here. So we'll stick them over there.
You're talking about a good cause since we've been having a lot of storms lately. God, Mother Nature, we love you, but we have a lot of storms lately. Has that affected you and want to do that where you get a good cause, where you get the special needs or Bararisa and get them involved where they can just pick the cherries off?
Well, we don't have them anymore. We haven't had cherries for like almost
Okay.
20
Oh,
years
yeah.
now. So yeah, my parents did not replant
No,
when that
that
happened.
happens,
So
yeah.
You didn't replant at all? Try to get
no, they went to like a year-to-year row crop kind of thing where they
So-
lease
or even
it.
apples.
Well,
Apples fall off.
Yeah, you can't use them if they touch the ground though.
Really?
Mhm. Theoretically, you could, but you'd have to like completely shut down the processing facility, clean it all away. It's just like harvesting from the orchard floor is not. It's something that they do all over in Europe, and they kind of have these cool.
I didn't know that.
They almost have like a rubber fan blade on the bottom. It's kind of like
Yeah.
sweeping,
Really?
and you just have this go kart, and you like kind of drive around picking them
really?
up, and they have people cruising around like shaking limbs, beating them off with sticks. Because if you're immediately going to press them, it doesn't matter if they get a little
Right,
beat
no,
up.
Bruce
Yeah,
up, yeah.
But in the US, we're a lot more cautious of like, you know, could deer poop make it up with, you know, the stuff on the floor or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and we don't really have a huge hard cider market the way that the UK does, because
Is there a big market in
In
the
UK,
UK?
yeah.
it's huge. Yeah, I mean, hard
Really?
cider was bigger than beer in the United States until Prohibition.
Really?
And that's because hard cider apples
Yeah.
that are uniquely hard cider, they're ugly. They don't taste good. They don't look good even. And
Is it called cider over there?
they're just called cider. Yeah.
Okay.
And but you know, Prohibition hits, those trees now are worthless. They cut them all down. Prohibition lifts. You can start making beer or spirits
Yeah.
like tomorrow, right?
Right.
So then it never quite recovered. You know, never really came back all that much. But yeah, Ben Franklin, he was always drinking
So
cider.
is there a big still cider over in the UK?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's huge.
As big as how you guys are. You guys are
Way bigger than
no,
than
you guys are huge on cider alone that
Mhm.
I know of.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah, Europe is still very much like a cider. A lot of places.
What's the difference on taste? That's what I'm kind of intrigued about. So you got to have basis on regulations and everything else you got to have. What's the difference between on taste there over here?
I mean, your apple variety is gonna determine
Very,
it
yeah.
mostly.
Is it?
But even then, cider is again more akin to wine than it is beer. When you drink Chardonnay, that's the name of the berry that grows on the grapevine. That's not the name of the wine.
Right.
It happens to be made from Chardonnay grapes. Similarly, the type of apple you use is really important for cider. So the broad category of type of apple that you want is they're called bitter sharps, and there's tons of different varieties within
Right,
there, none of which you'd recognize. So that's kind of like where I thought 10 years ago. By now, customers might care the way that they care about wine and that they care about, other stuff.
Yeah.
But that needle hasn't moved a tick, not one bit. The other thing that's more unique to the European market than here is that over there, they like and appreciate vintages. Like, oh, this is a 2021 Chardonnay, for example. That was a dry year. It's really good.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens to the fruit that year. And that's the entirety of the liquid in the bottle is that fruit. We have that same problem. However, the next time you drink Huntsman, you expect it to taste darn near exact to the last time you had it. That is so hard for us to do.
So what happens when
way easier with beer?
What happens with cider if it vintage?
Vintage just means the year. That
no, I mean, so still somewhat tastes the same if I drink it 5 years from now.
Probably not the same way wine would.
Well, I mean, but bitter, sweeter.
Hard to know. Yeah, it could do whatever. That's kind of like the reason why certain years of wine are like worth $1 million a bottle because it aged.
No, red wine. Yeah, red wine. Wine you can vintage.
Yeah.
Throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
White wine you really can't.
You don't do that as much. I agree.
It tastes more vinegary.
Mm-hmm.
So this stuff is more kind of a white base. So I'm just kind of curious what happens with it.
Maybe. I mean, I'll set aside 100%. Yeah. I still have some bottles from our very first run, like ever. And
have you really?
Yeah. And have you
tasted it?
Yeah, they taste great still. So they won't taste exactly like what I had the last one, but these apples went through a totally different experience than those apples did anyway. So it's gonna have some manner of variation. But
good point.
So that's the other reason vintage matters is what happened that growing season.
So I have a question for James.
Shoot,
it's a bad question.
I think I may have an answer
it's
for
a
you.
bad one.
No,
I got
the answer's no.
My knees are aching right now.
Yeah.
Can you name?
What?
Actually, I'll narrow it down. Can you name 3 different types of apples?
Yeah, I guess.
How about then? Can you name 4?
Let me name 3 first.
No. I meant you said yes to 3.
I said yes, and then I paused on that.
Name 4.
I'm gonna do 3. Would you ask me the first?
All right. Name 3.
Was it hold on.
Don't look at him.
Granny. Was it the
yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, that's
Granny.
Yeah, Granny Smith.
Granny Smith, apples. This is another one. I'm thinking, man. Come on, relax. I'm not an apple connoisseur. Damn. No, I guess I can't. Okay. What's so funny about that?
Do you like delicious apples?
Yeah.
What kinds of?
You're hell with them.
Yeah.
You're hell with them.
I am.
No, you are hell with them.
I don't really know off the top of my head.
That's the point.
So many
10 years now, people haven't noticed. You know what I mean?
That's what I was going at.
My delicious joke was there's like golden delicious, red delicious, yellow delicious.
Oh.
Those are all types of apples.
There's all types of apples.
Fuji.
Yeah, I didn't want to say Fiji. I was thinking.
Yeah,
Fiji.
There is about out there that I know. There's about 15 different types of apples.
There's hundreds.
I know, but I know about 15 that I could probably think of that.
Do 3 right now.
No, I can't.
Do 3 right now.
3 we haven't said.
3 right now. Go.
Oh, Oh, well, there is Granny Smith.
No, you can't use those.
Can you?
here.
I know.
Nope,
I'm
nope.
saying Granny Smith.
No,
Family Feud style.
no.
Oh, Family Feud stuff.
Yeah.
Got the boo button on point right now.
You can't get that.
Give this man a
back to
boo.
me.
Yeah.
Ask you that question,
You
not
couldn't
back
even
to me.
answer.
Oh,
couldn't
you
even
can't look
name
in the
one.
mirror, Joe.
You
I
can't even
know.
name one. You
Actually,
suck.
Hey,
Yeah.
I asked a question.
Good job, Joe.
You want it back to me.
Why are you trying to always make a spectacle of me when you can't even name one?
How about this?
Nope.
No. How about this? We both got.
No. You
Yeah, we both. Oh, stop giving that. We both got.
That was perfect. That was
Oh,
perfect.
really?
I
good.
know
I
it
like
was.
that. That's a good button. Leave that on the board.
Yes.
We both got joked.
No.
You
couldn't even answer.
joke. I
couldn't name
joked
one.
you,
Stop.
and you joked me.
Continue with the show. Joe.
Yes. But no, how many apples are out there? It's amazing that you guys can eliminate to a couple on this here.
Well, there's
There is.
there are like hard
You-
cider specific apples that you really can't find in mass in order to like build a
So what
business around.
apples do you use?
So almost all good ciders are usually a blend.
Okay.
So it's different than wine
Okay.
in that you almost always do a blend of
Okay.
apples. And
you don't put that on here.
No.
it might say the word blend somewhere in there.
Okay, yeah, I know, but okay.
So really customers don't all the way care. So what we can get commercially are generally speaking what you would call culinary apples. So ones that people cook with and eat
Right.
and whatever. And so some of them, if they tend to make a good pie, they usually make a good hard cider. So like Northern Spy might be one like, oh, my grandma always bought Northern Spy. Wine Sap's another good one. Stuff like Golden Delicious will kind of take on the characteristics of other.
See, Dan can name 3 off the top of his head without a problem.
Dude, he's a cider
Without a
guy.
problem.
Kiss my ass.
Without a problem. No
big
itches
dummy.
whatsoever.
You a big dummy.
Jonathan's.
There's 4 right there. There you go. There's your 4, Joe.
Oh, you get Jay Jolly on here. He'll put me to shame.
Oh,
for sure.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
He's a cider guy.
I'm sure he will.
But anyway,
Like
so
you
those are kind
popping
of
it back.
those are ones you look out for. If they make a good pie, they're probably good for hard cider. So those you can find in enough volume to like build a business around. Whereas like if you only wanted this one really unique one, like no, you could do like one
Right.
run, and it might be amazing to people who are huge cider people, but most of them aren't.
All right. I had to ask this since you said pies. It makes me think of it. What can you base on a pie to get the best tasting? Is like Granny Smith to a whatever, or what you can buy in a kind of a
Usually when people are hunting for a good pie apple, they're looking for again that like kind of bitter sharp characteristic.
yeah, that's
where
what
it's got like a decent amount of acid, not too
Then
much
you-
sugar, and then they're
brown sugar.
they're
on
adding
top.
sugar to
brown
extra
sugar
sweeten it up, but
and sweeten
that's
it up.
usually what they do.
You can make it mean. I can make a good country apple pie.
What? Okay. Another. I'm curious
Well,
about
my-
what college.
Moving on from pies.
Yeah, yeah.
You
What
want
college
my-
did
you
you
want
go
my-
to?
I went to Michigan State
Okay.
for my undergrad
sorry.
and my MBA.
Yeah.
Go Irish!
Double down Spartan.
Go Irish!
She calm down.
Oh, kiss my ass.
Jeez,
Yeah,
calm down
okay,
over there.
Joe, take another leak.
No,
No,
Yeah.
don't take a
go
We
whiz.
were having such a good time when you were taking the whiz.
no, wait a minute. 5 minutes.
No, we were having a good
A
time.
5-minute whiz?
Oh man,
No way.
It was so calm and collected.
Kiss
Man.
my ass.
It was so easy going. We had a great conversation.
We talked about
cars,
being banned.
banned
for
from the-
life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
burnouts and totally missed it.
Oh man.
Sorry. I'll listen to it. You won't, but I will. He doesn't listen to the podcast.
I don't think I would either if you lived it.
Yeah,
I guess if you had to edit
don't
it, though,
agree with him.
if you had to edit it, I suppose you'd have to listen.
there's no edit.
No,
It's
there's
all
no edit.
live.
It's all live.
It's all
Yeah.
live.
Well, we had to pause multiple times for those
He doesn't listen
breaks
to it.
for our sponsors. Thanks.
Yeah.
Ritz
There's only
Photo
one.
Cups.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't drink
Yeah,
enough.
about those solo cups.
There's only one, but he doesn't listen to the podcast after.
No, because I lived. I was right there.
Yeah,
I
you saw
knew
it.
out there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't listen
doesn't-
to it.
I don't think I would listen. I might listen to this.
You should, because it's awesome.
That's as far as I'll give you.
You got a jaw fired up.
I got lived it.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm fired up.
All right.
No, I'm pissed.
Don't be pissed about it. It'll be
'Cause
okay.
You don't listen to this shit.
I can look. I know what I said. I know what I did. I know everything I talked about. It's a good podcast.
Until I
Relax.
have to tell you something.
No, you don't. No.
What happened to our finger?
What? Oh, that was past. I found that, and then took care of that problem.
I know. Yeah.
Any other questions, Joe? We got 10 minutes left.
Oh, dude. Oh, I got.
Okay.
All right.
He's got a list. I like that.
I do.
He doesn't
I
have
got
a
lot.
list.
I actually do. So, when it came from when you told your parents, I want to grow apples, they had to demolish all their grounds, haven't they?
No.
No?
We buy our juice from the Jollies. So they didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
And it was more like, hey, I need a building. That was more like the ask to them was like,
Yeah.
are you okay with this? You know, and they, to their, to their credit, they were
Yeah.
like, we are okay with it, but we don't want this place to become party central. We don't want to have any kind of like
Oh,
tasting
right.
room, tap room out here.
So you had
If it's
you
just
had a leeway.
production, it's cool.
Okay.
And that was fine with me because where our farm is, it's not really near anything else retail wise. So it wouldn't have made a lot of sense
Yeah.
anyway. We just spent more time and money and energy convincing people we were out there
Come out there, yeah.
than just finding a spot near where people already go past.
So it's always legit on Heartache for everything that you guys do. It's all family based, farm based, and everything 100% you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we buy some. Obviously, we have like suppliers for things. Like I don't pretend that we grow our own apples. We planted through a grant with Michigan State some like hard cider test
Did you really
varieties
go through
and
Michigan
stuff.
State? That's good for you.
Mhm.
Good for you.
I'd met one of their researchers at CiderCon, which is where all the cider makers get together
Is it
once
really
a year.
a cider
Actually, every
con?
2 years, I think. Maybe it's once a year.
Oh my god.
But I'd met him there and he was like, hey, I'm trying to find some like, areas where we can plant and test with different rootstocks that are known to work well in our environment. I don't really think that they'll live, but we don't learn anything.
Yeah.
We don't try anything. And I was like, oh, I kind of remember some farmer telling me something like that. So anyway, we had done like, a couple acres that we planted with them, but they did not do well. It was also a very bad like growing year. And usually when you buy a grafted tree, they're, a few years old and they've been in a nursery. These were like a year old, fresh out of the nursery. They were so fragile, and deer ate them up mostly.
So here's a good question to ask you. What's a good cider year to a bad cider year? Honestly, because I really don't know.
We kind of,
I
cheat to like make sure that our sugar and our acid end up in the right conditions anyway, because we're not trying to highlight the vintages because our customers don't care about that. If anything, they dislike it. They want it to be the exact same. So to the degree we can, we're trying to make it repetitive over and over and over again. But obviously, a year where there's, either too much or not enough water or too many storms or whatever, like that's more of that stinks and that makes your fruit really expensive.
all right, I'm gonna go with you on this because I'm kind of curious. Because apple season is what type of the year?
Usually end of August, beginning of September, you can start harvesting. Yeah.
So on that, when you want to make a more what is it, ripe cider?
Mhm.
You want to grow it when?
I mean, they grow.
Start.
Yeah. Usually, if you had all the production capacity in the world, you would make all of your cider immediately as it's harvested, and but you'd need 10. If you can make 1,000 gallons of cider and you sell 10,000, you need all of your production capacity you might need throughout the year for a 6-week need all at once. So obviously we don't do that. So the same reason you can we do as much as we can, as fast as we can then.
So
because that's when your quality's the best.
Do you grow out
and your price is the lowest?
Do you grow out do you ask for somebody else to help you, or do you just go what you have? They're out.
No, we get a specific blend, like
So
with
that-
and from the jollies, and
Yeah,
then
Good for you.
we
Good for
will
you.
we do
So
that.
you stay local no matter what.
100% of our
Oh.
juices always come from them. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome. That's awesome.
and they there's what's called controlled atmosphere storage, and so that's why you can still get a fresh
Okay.
apple in July,
That's why I wanted
fresh
it.
seeming
Yeah.
apple.
Okay.
So they'll take all the apples they're going to pick in these giant rooms that are kind of like a big refrigerator space. They seal it off. They pump all the air out of that room. And it's basically like a storage space. So no bacteria can live and breathe and whatever. And then once they go like, okay, we got to crack into that next room and it's got X numbers of boxes
Really?
of apples. You got to find a buyer for all of them now, because now they're going to start going bad faster. Your quality does drop the longer you're pushing that out, but that is why, you can still get a fresh looking and tasting apple,
Really? I didn't
even
know-
though it's not anywhere near the right growing season. So
I didn't know that at all. They can, and it still grows when they. Huh.
All right, guys, we're down to the 5-minute mark. We're gonna
Interesting.
do what we do is almost like a Jerry Springer final thought.
okay.
I
We
like
give
to say
you a
that.
chance to do a shout out to anybody that you want to, your
Or a couple upcoming events.
or anything that's upcoming,
Yeah.
new ciders or anything that's popping in your mind.
Yeah.
Just do a quick shout out. For
Well, first and foremost, I guess if I was going to shout anybody out, it'd be my family and our friends that support us and our staff. I mean, we couldn't do it without all those guys. I hope I threw everybody's name in there at least once. But as far as next upcoming event, we do have a Broadway musical night coming up
really?
next month. And so we do once a month, we'll do kind of a theme night. We did a disco night, which was like more adult
that was
theme.
a
We
hit,
did,
I heard.
we did a superhero theme night, and next up is Broadway musical. And I don't know if you guys can tell about me talking about working on old cars. I don't know that much about Broadway musical.
No,
So I'm gonna need some
don't at
help.
all.
Maybe if you got some ideas for what kind of costume I should wear, throw that in the comments. Smash that subscribe button.
I got you right now. Family opera. Have a half case
Have
mask, yes, and a drape. That's all you need.
All right. Phantom.
Or you can just do some all. You can do anything.
Yeah.
No, now
I was thinking the kids like
that's the easiest one. Don't say Lion King.
Not the Lion King. The Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
And he's got a top hat.
Yeah.
And I don't own a top hat. I feel like this is
That'd
a
be
good
pretty cool.
excuse to buy a top
pretty
hat.
Do you want one?
No.
You can buy mine.
No, I want to buy one.
That-
I might
he
need
wants
it.
his own.
I got one.
You do?
Yeah.
Top hat?
Yes.
Does it have a lot of mercury in it? From
No.
the bill or the band?
No.
Doesn't.
No.
See,
Good.
Joe.
Do you want one that has
No,
all
no,
that?
no. I was just wondering.
Joe, he wants to get he wants his own top hat.
All right.
All right, go ahead, Joe.
I got
All
one.
right. What's your Jerry Springer moment?
Yes.
You guys gonna fight? Is that
No,
your
no,
part of it?
No.
I'll be Steve and he'll be Jerry. I don't have to beat him up.
Then it's vice versa, because you always tell me something different.
Go ahead, Joe.
But for me, thank you. Thank you for everything that you came to us right now. I love everything in the moment that you gave us. I did not know about ciders. Wholeheartedly, I love wine, but you turned me on ciders even more, because I learned more on ciders than that. I hope I have you on again, because after the season happens, I like to know how you did this year alone.
Okay, cool.
If,
do it again. This is fun.
If I can.
Yeah.
If I can.
I'll do it again. It was fun.
And you keep on pushing that limit of ciders and bowling ratio. You're awesome. If you ever need help, I know people that can work on your shit on alone.
He's got his guy. It works on. Yeah,
I know, but
and he's got the uncle.
That's right, Uncle Kurt.
Yeah,
I know, but
he's got the uncle.
Uncle Kurt, he knows all the people I know that he's calling on, but I know I can skip all that, and they know how to work on your stuff. So
I'll keep it in mind.
All right.
you
Matt, if Matt gets too busy.
yeah. You keep on living your dream. I love your stuff. You keep on living it right here. You keep on living this. This stuff is awesome.
Thanks, man.
I love all your stuff. I come to your place. I'm gonna try to get him out.
Yeah, can you bring James?
I
Bring him
Yeah,
out.
I'll come out. I'll come out.
I bet he's
See,
pretty good at bowling.
I'm
more-
horrible. He's better
no.
than I am. He's
Oh,
better than
no.
I am. He's much better than I am.
Well, I'm not very good either.
so now
We'll
the
probably
bowl-
have to have a
not
challenge
the
then,
bowling
a face
aspect.
off.
Yeah, I love you two bowling face off. Actually, I'll do house shoes and
All right, wrap it up,
house
Joe.
ball.
It's my
all of
turn.
us. All of us.
Sounds good. I
So,
use
wrap
those
it up.
anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna try to get him out just to taste all your ciders.
All right.
That would give it a shot. I'll definitely give it a shot. All right, Dan, thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate it so much.
Thanks, man.
I didn't realize I met you so many different times
Yeah.
in past what.
Well, now we don't
3,
have
4
to be
years.
so much a stranger.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you for joining us. I mean, I do appreciate this gift, and this is really good. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thanks. Man.
For your future endeavors, I'm sure you'll do well. You have a great mind, and I'm sure you put that to work. And I know you. Actually, I know you will. You've
Thanks,
done it.
man.
You've done it so far. So
Yeah. Well, how'd I do, guys? It's my
You did
first
awesome.
podcast
Awesome.
with
you did really.
hands on.
You weren't.
Yeah.
You weren't nervous.
No.
You slid right into like a
I
warm
know.
bath. That's the way I like to put it. A warm bath. Slide right into it.
Slide down the lane like a bull.
There you go. There you go.
Oh,
There you go. Yes, I love it. I love it. All right, guys. So you guys watching on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Facebook, thank you for joining us. For future events, we got next week.
Oh.
What is it?
No, this
Wednesday.
week.
This Wednesday.
Robbie,
You gonna slaughter his name?
I'm gonna slaughter his name.
How's it spelled? Sound it out.
I bet it starts with an ROB.
Spell it.
Robbie
Spell it.
Schober.
Okay. I'm
Schroeder.
assuming that's his right
Yes.
name.
URBBER. Schober.
Okay. I'll look at it next time. I'm sure that's not the right spelling. Anyway, guys, join us Wednesday at 8 p.m. Same time, same channel. And we'll see you next time, guys. We appreciate you guys. I'm Joe, no, not Joe Hill. I'm James Gill. I'm James Gill, your host. This is Joe Hill, co-host. And thanks our guest, Dan P, for joining us tonight from Peace Cider Social. Guys, join us Wednesday. We'll see you next time. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
And we're out of here.